Well, I guess
All
we'll
right,
find out.
3, 2, 1. Hi, this is Lori.
This is Peter.
And this is Hamilton.
Let's look straight ahead. We're with Action Heroes LA, the subsidiary of Heroes Character Rental Service. Oh, I got through it that time. And we're here. Happy Halloween, y'all! It's our special
Happy
Halloween.
Indeed, happy Halloween.
We just happened to, since nobody can trick or treat, it wasn't going to stop me from decorating. As you
Well, we
can
could
see.
technically trick or treat if we really wanted
I
to.
guess, well, we can't, but kids can. But we decided to do a review for tonight. Actually, just going through Lovecraft Country, just finished a couple weeks ago. And we go through episodes 6 through 10 and the whole series. And what do you guys think? What do you want?
For me,
Hold on, I'll go ahead. I'm going to turn down the sound a little bit. So it's not too distracting.
okay, 1 through 10. Each episode was its own thing. I'm not sure which episode was my least favorite, but as a whole, it was phenomenal.
I think definitely my
was
favorite personally was episode 5. Because well, first of all, I really want to start out by saying this show for me is a special treat because I've never seen a TV show like this. I like the fact that there's a lot of honesty to all the stories, but it's all it's all in the garb of a horror show or horror series. But the real horror is the world that these people live in.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's what really I find refreshing about this show. When you guys told me about it, I didn't expect it to be what it is. I thought it was something pertaining to just H.P. Lovecraft's fiction, and I automatically reacted. But now I'm glad to be able to look at the end of this series and look back and realize wow, I would have missed out on a whole lot of stuff. I've been telling people about this show. A lot of people don't seem to know about it yet, but I think when more people find out, it's gonna have a cultural impact. I liked episode 5 the most, Peter, because that was for me where everything kind of started taking on. I knew I wanted to see the rest of the series after episode 5.
Kind of the issues it was addressing.
Yeah, and the way they addressed, the issues.
The issues the show was presenting kind of gelled in that episode for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the episode with Ruby.
Yeah.
Changing into the white woman.
Into the white woman, exactly.
That episode
was pivotal for me.
That episode almost made me quit, man.
Really? That's right, I forgot about that.
It was just so graphic and so brutal that I
thought it was
I don't know if I can take it, but I had to see where the show was going next.
I thought metaphorically it was just it just summed up everything about the black experience in America, for me, as far as she became white and then she could see how all the doors opened up for her and everything changed just by her skin color and her appearance. Really, that was it.
And apparently that whole part from the book is once she became white, she was addicted to becoming. I don't know if that was. I think in the book they played it a little more heavily than they do it in the series here, but it's kind of.
You know what? when she's transforming, I don't want to give away too many heavy spoilers, but when she's transforming, I mean, am I crazy? But I think that represents for a lot of black people the struggle of, trying to conform to this standard of beauty, this European standard of beauty, like all the things black people go through just to transform themselves into what is supposed to be acceptable. A lot of black women, I'm sure,
the torture.
Agree. Yeah, the torture.
The pain and torture.
What they do to their hair and everything, and the fact that their body types are not considered the ideal body type, But that when I saw that episode, I was like, man, I got to see the rest of this series because I've never seen anything like this. Not even in film, really, but definitely not on television. So yeah, that had a huge impact for me, because I think up to that point I was watching each episode and enjoying it, but that kind of brought it all together, you know, what this series was really about.
Well, how about you, Peter? Did you have a favorite episode or
Favorite episode? No, because I
love them all?
I just love them all.
Yeah, I mean,
And the reason I did is because they took the time, which was a horrid time. They took, and the reason I call it a horrid time is because during slavery, although there was horrors and issues there, now imagine a time when you looked and felt and thought you were free
all right
until somebody told you.
right you came up in situations that
Yeah. And not only were you not free, you could die.
yeah
And everybody around you could die. So
I was talking to my dad about that. He was talking about like when they were kids, they had to know their place, and even with how Dad looks, it's like you know, he's like I didn't, you know, I wish I would have. He was kind of feeling regret that he didn't like stand up for, you know, his race more. But I was like, Dad, that was life or death. He could die.
I think this show made
get it,
that
dude.
really clear that these people were living in a world where they could die at any moment. I really like the relationship that the main character Atticus had with the Korean girl. I thought that was interesting. That really surprised me when, you know, every episode, I don't, again, want to give too much away, but they gave sort of a focus on each character, on the different characters, on their backgrounds. And they showed the background of the Korean girl. That was really fascinating. It gave a whole different perspective. This show isn't just about the black experience in America, but it delves into homosexuality. Like I said, it delves into identity politics as far as this woman who was able to transform into a white person from being a black woman to becoming a white woman.
A lot of oppressed demographics were.
And then they had this Korean girl and her perspective, and that was, you know,
about
during
America
the
going to
Korean War.
these countries and fighting wars, and just how, you know, we, you know, gung ho soldier, rah rah America on our end, and how horrible. I mean, it's war. You know, they had to do some horrible stuff, and here we have our hero, not to give anything away, having to do some horrible stuff, which reminds me of something at the end of the series that tied in for me. That episode was like one of my favorites. It was just, like I said, it was beautifully shot. It was nice to have kind of a folklore tale from another culture and another country presented, that we're so many, like, this show does ghost stories and demons and whatever, all kinds of things that we're used to in American culture. So it was really nice seeing that. And yeah, like I said, to see, you know, how the horror of America at war is for the people in the country that they attack. You know, so
yeah, but you know, for me, imagining you're in the 50s and you're black, terrible time for you. Plus, you have witches, warlocks, and horror going on.
Right.
And then you, you know, you're the prejudice and the everything that's going on, and then which I thought was really good, is that they showed that not everybody was like this.
Right.
And that in itself is sort of another horror.
Not everybody like who?
Well,
Like,
not everybody is, well, one, not
maybe one white
everybody
person
who
in this
is-
show was.
who is
Yeah, I don't know. When I think about it, to be honest,
there was actually, if you watch it, there was a couple of cops. There was a couple of
I'm not recalling it.
okay.
all the cops seem to be the
but
most
there is,
racist characters.
there was a couple of people who just weren't there. Then you had the people who were in the middle. Well, whichever side is there, that's the side I'm on.
Right.
That is actually a horror. That's actually a horror I've faced. There's somebody here, and it's completely fine. Oh, until more white people come around.
And then
you know what I kind of realized, y'all? We haven't really given too much explanation as to what we're really talking about.
Well, we're talking Lovecraft Country. If you haven't seen the show, just watch it. Come on,
yeah,
come on,
yeah, highly
what's
recommend
wrong
it.
with you?
Yeah.
No, but,
Lovecraft Country is spectacular.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to
It's a
say
fun
to those who
ride.
don't know,
You've never seen TV like this before. You've never because they were able to go through such detail. You've definitely never seen a movie like this because it's not enough time to go through that kind of detail.
You might change something. Go ahead. Keep talking.
I know I was just gonna.
But it was
Sorry, man.
it was just it was unbelievable. It was
Right.
10 episodes. It was 10 episodes of put your jogging shoes on and start running.
Like Letty.
I just want to interject, y'all, that for people who don't know, this is H.P. Lovecraft is the inspiration, but these aren't really.
No, it's
his
based on
stories per se?
a book
Yeah, it's
that
based
just
on a
came out a
different
couple
book.
years ago.
Yeah,
But the book does, I think, take some elements from H.P.
From H.P.
Lovecraft's
Lovecraft,
stories,
definitely,
but
yeah.
it's not,
Well,
it's
from
kinda
what
like a
from what I
leaping off
remember,
point.
it's these stories are taken from a book written about Lovecraft
Yeah.
books
about his.
and
Well, it's
how this goes.
What it is, it's
Am I
an
still correct,
independent. No, it's an independent. I'm sorry, it's an independent.
don't lean out.
I'm
He's scooching.
It's an independent world unto itself, but it just so happens it's like a parallel reality to our reality, and at the same time, Lovecraft exists in this parallel reality. And then at a certain point, one of the like they mentioned the book Lovecraft Country in this series, so it's kind of meta in that sense. It definitely uses influences of Lovecraft, of his creatures and stuff. So.
Well, it's kind of hard to pick a favorite episode. I do have a favorite episode on here, and there's one thing I wanted to discuss because after that episode, I felt the show was kind of anticlimactic to me. So like, it just really just that episode is like the big ending is just no way it could be big, So it kind of felt.
Well, which one was it?
Well, I'll get to it because I wanted to bring up. I like the Hippolyta episode where she got.
Right.
It was kind of strange enough to
like that.
but I just love the message about her kind of finding herself, her soul, her independence,
Right.
and and kind of her freedom outside, and then coming back as this total badass scientist mom, middle-aged mom kind of thing. So I just superhero. It was awesome. But that was another favorite of mine. But the Emmett Till episode wrecked me. That episode it was so intense and just really hit me in like just the realness of what happened to him and incorporating that into this story. And I don't think anything I've ever watched has affected me that way in terms of like racism and talking about that topic and that problem in America. And so and that's episode 8. So you have 2 episodes after that. And 9 kind of builds up, now is going to build up to the finale. But there's no way the finale could have there's nothing they probably could have done to kind of hit me. And the finale gets a little bit of criticism. A lot of people kind of feel it wasn't as strong. It was kind of a little confusing.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't
Emmett Till was
entirely
8?
happy.
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier. Okay.
No, it was about the 8th. I mean, he's introduced earlier, but
Yes.
the episode with his funeral.
I thought it was cool.
It wrecked me so bad. I couldn't sleep the night
wow.
after seeing that. I was up. I was just thinking about that little boy And I mean, and that's the beauty of the show, is like you have all these horrors and demons and monsters and ghosts and all this stuff that, you know, in fiction they try to scare you with, but there's nothing scarier than humans being really crappy and racist to each other. You know, there was that was the biggest horror and that's because we know that shit's real. And this really happened to this kid, and it happens to kids still, and it's, you know.
I thought one of the things that I found really interesting, you know, I grew up remembering watching, like, the Andy Griffith Show, and, you know, and it presented, like, an image of reality that was so simple and happy, but the truth is, when you juxtapose it with the image of the 50s that this TV show presents, that's way more probably like closer to reality. Yeah. It's like you realize, like, man, like everything I grew up on was a lie, you know. This is the truth. And
Make America Great Again. They want to go back to that. It's like, well, for us, it's going back to Lovecraft Country, basically. So, you know, you want to go to Mayberry?
I really like how you mentioned Emmett Till, how they explored Emmett Till.
I love how they incorporated that.
Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow. Like,
they did. That's right. Black Wall Street was the next episode after that. And that was intense, too. I
would even hope that some people who see this show who don't know about these things will become more aware if they don't know about, when we talk about Black Wall Street and Emmett Till, like you hopefully were inspired
you need to learn
learn more.
This kind of puts you in the in the middle of the tragedy and the horror of it, and you can feel it. If you come out not feeling that, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I just kind of to touch on the Emmett Till. When a couple episodes, I think it was, beforehand is when we first saw him.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I kept saying, this boy, he's something's gonna happen. And then that's when you told me.
I told you, yeah.
His nickname.
Because they use his nickname in the show.
Yeah. And what was his nickname?
Bobo.
When they was using the nickname, and I never knew he had a nickname.
You know, I didn't either, but I saw on Twitter that somebody mentioned it around that episode he was introduced. It's like they were like discussing that. They think that's Emmett Till. And so I was like, wait a minute, let me look at the show again. They call him Bobo. Let me look to see if it's that. Oh, that's his nickname. That's where they're going with this. Well, and it's like, oh, damn.
When I kept seeing him, I was sad just by his presence. I don't know who the actor was.
Oh,
but he just gave, even if the short little clips he was on the scene, he just gave something. And then when you told me who he was, I think for the next episode, the next episode, he was actually in it even less.
Yeah, he's just like he's just passing through like an extra.
Yes.
You know, oh, there's Bobo. You know, and he's walking through at D, and
I felt,
you know, he's not a character really in the movie.
I've known for years about Emmett Till. I felt a personal thing, and I felt saddened inside. You know, it was really weird. So whoever the director, the editors, the producer, all of this, and the actors, they did a phenomenal job in the way they brought things in, and they didn't slap you in the face with it and say, look at this. It just happened. Things just happened. Even when they would go through history and they talked about why the White House is white when they were in that restaurant, and then they said because it was burned
down and the slaves had to rebuild it.
Yes, and they had to paint it white because
to hide the
burn marks. And here they were at this restaurant that was listed in the Green Book as being a safe place, and it was no longer. because they had burned it down and took it over. And so when they went and sat down, they thought it was
It was taken over by some white people.
yes.
Yeah,
And
and they were not welcome.
and they looked up and they said the walls are white.
What
And
is
then
that?
they moved a piece of the floor and they said it's been burnt.
We
and
got
then,
to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, the girl came running
Go
out.
running out.
Let's go.
I honestly, before I forget, y'all, I really want to mention, one of the things I really like about this show, I think they really effectively capture the horror and the insanity of living in a world where people hate you because of the color of your skin.
Yeah.
I mean, they really, like, every episode really makes it clear that this world, like, no one would want to live there. It's like these characters are always in danger of some either being killed by some police officer, which is very timely, in itself, or being, something happening to them. There's always that sense of precariousness, like they're never really safe, no matter where they go. Like they're chased out of towns by sundown, and then even though they get out of town, they still, the people still come after them, So it's like you get that sense of these people, this world that they live in is insane, towards
And it's
them.
our world.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
Exactly. It's
our
real
world.
enough and believable enough that it reflects the world that we've been living in.
Yeah.
The history of in the past of stuff that's happened here and stuff that's going on now. So I think that's when I say that I've never seen a show like this. I've never seen a show that shows you the truth.
Yeah. So effectively shows you that, the horror of racism. To make you feel it.
Exactly.
Make you feel it in your bone, your gut, your heart.
Exactly.
It's just,
But again, in the way that they didn't slap you in the face with it.
Yeah, they don't
It
bang
was-
you over the head with it.
Yeah, they just said,
They make you care about
here's
some
what
characters,
happened.
and then when
now we're
this
going to throw
happens-
some horror in it, and let's mix it all up, make it nice. They made a great gumbo.
Exactly.
They took the roux and just...
Oh my goodness. Well, I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned this scene in that episode where that was the first episode too, where they're in that restaurant that was burned down and painted white, and they have the whole White House discussion. And I think about it foreshadowing the Black Wall Street episode, which is exactly what happened. It's the whole town in Oklahoma, right? That got burned down
Tulsa,
and taken over by whites, or for 1921, and it's been and nobody knew about it. Some people knew, historians knew about it. African, if you studied Black history, probably, but it's not taught in schools. It's only kind of being more publicly known to the general public now.
That's something you would really have to seek out.
Yeah. I didn't hear about it
talked
till a
about.
couple of years ago, and now just this year I'm hearing about. That was just one place, and
Yes.
there's a whole lot of places like that.
And
too.
this is kind of getting off the show, but I love the show. You guys should go see the show. Go see the show. See all 10 episodes. Start from the beginning, go to the end, and just watch it. I don't care what race you are, who you are, nothing. They have something for everybody.
They got something for you.
They got something for everybody. And know your history, because I knew that they said in the books, and so I just figured, well, of course it's true, that they sent over a couple of planes, crop dusters, but they had bombs, so they had them, the army or someone in the army had to say yes, and here's what you do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so there had to be some governmental
There was some involvement where they okayed them to
for sure.
But when
the
they
city.
said that they actually flew over and dropped bombs, that
1921
is
bombs.
Yeah,
Also,
it was coordinated
prop
beforehand.
planes
It was
and shit.
prepared beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you think about it. Yeah.
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 You know, that's not just racism.
Right.
That's hateism. That's
Right.
just
Right.
That's a
I mean,
pure-
well, it was beyond
that's a
that. Even they
pure
said
hate.
people were so jealous of the people in Tulsa because there were like blacks there who had their own airplanes. You know, this was in the 1920s. They
Well-
were that rich,
well. That's a well,
and a lot of people looked at them like, how you know, if these, so you know, inward, you know,
Yeah.
if these people could have this, all of this, you know, and I'm talking about like poor whites. You know, they were very jealous. There was a lot of hostility.
Well,
But
that's
you know, but that's another thing is that, and again, that's kind of getting off of the track. But it's a thing of we as black people were told, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Right.
Don't rely on the government. Go get it yourself.
Right.
And they did. And then they came after us.
yeah.
Well, it was a loaded.
It's
deck,
like, oh,
basically.
you succeeded. Oh, we can't have that.
Yeah, and then it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
yeah.
but this tells the story, or at least a portion of the story, and shows it to you in a way where they had to go get the book of names, and they had to find a way to go back in time to go get it.
There's time travel, y'all.
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah, the show
And-
does
and-
time travel too, right? It's like,
Yeah.
throw it all in there.
Yeah, it was kind of, and that was kind of cool because it was just a wormhole that opened up, or that was opened up for them to do it. I still think Back to the Future is, yeah, yes, Ant-Man, Back to the Future is real. Don't
Real?
listen to the rest of the Avengers; they don't know.
We should
Yeah.
we should probably get into some of the actors in this show.
Oh,
What's his name? Jonathan
Jonathan
Majors.
Majors, yeah. Yeah.
Journey
Journey
Smollett.
Smollett.
I don't know that. I forgot the name of the girl who plays the villain. She's really good.
Oh, I forget it's Abby. Something.
Abby.
she's
Exactly.
Which, yeah, it's one great thing, and I've heard a lot of people really articulate this well. Like her role in this show, especially among women, she wants all this. She's oppressed too by the white males, particularly in her family, but in the society, like she has all this talent and power talent for magic, but she can't practice any of it because it's a male-dominated society. So
Right.
a lot of people have pointed out it's really a perfect example of like white feminism and kind of their allyship with black women when they need something, but as soon as what they want is in front of them, they'll sacrifice the black woman for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And we see that with Abby and Ruby.
I think she also represents white privilege in a sense. I mean,
Yeah.
like everything about her, she drives this silver.
We see, but
family,
I think
Rolls-Royce.
Christina's the character's name. I should say.
the road Lori was going down was very significant because
Abby Lee is her name.
she was probably the most talented,
Yeah.
probably
I got
the smartest
right.
person in her family, and any family legacy should have gone to her. But it didn't because they said it couldn't because she was a woman.
No, I get
So,
that, Peter. But all I'm saying, I'm not trying to.
So sexism.
I'm just adding to
was,
what Laurie
yeah.
said. you
No,
know.
yeah. So sexism was.
Well, she
was
leverages
huge.
the black people to fight her war on sexism, and then when they,
When she gets what she wants.
when she's about to meet her goal, she completely if it means sacrificing that black person,
Yeah.
she does it.
Yeah.
Like she
You're
gets there,
right.
she
That's a
makes.
really good
that
point.
whole point of like the allyship that. So, but let's talk about some of the other actors. I don't want to get off on just the white,
Yeah.
the one white actor. We go into detail.
No, I just want to
No,
say
but
this,
yeah, you got to
the
think
show has good
like
villains.
Anjani Ellis, who played Hippolyta.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I loved her. Like I said, I loved her solo episode.
What's his
And
name? Michael.
we'll get. I want to get into. Yeah, we want to get Michael K. Williams. Let's get into him
Williams.
last because he
Okay.
was freaking amazing. And
Okay.
he's so amazing in the show. But I wanted to mention Wumi Masaka, who played Ruby, and I loved Ruby. Ruby was my favorite character. You guys were kind
I
of
like
ragging
Ruby a
on
lot.
her one time about her looks. We were watching an episode, and I'm like, I love this woman. I think
No,
she's gorgeous.
I think she's beautiful.
I think, she's
No,
a
I
great
did say
actress.
that.
She's British, actually.
Yeah, I was
saw,
going to say, she's got features that are not African
she's
American.
British.
Really like
Oh,
to study
well,
her
then
Well,
face.
no, I'm just
It's
saying,
different. I
like,
like her now.
no, I'm just saying, seeing her
I don't
interviewed.
know where
love
she's from, but
when an actress can do an American accent, you do not even tell.
I don't know where she's from, but she's not from Britain. Her family's
Well,
from,
she's British.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of African immigrants
that's what I
in
mean.
England.
And
That's
you
what
can
I'm
see
saying.
like she's got like I've never seen just saw her face and the bone structure and her skin. She's very beautiful.
Her storyline was amazing. I'm hoping that the end of the show was not the end of her, because if they have a season 2, they better bring me some Ruby back. Because I need some Ruby.
I really liked Ruby, the character Ruby, because like I said, I liked episode 5 the most.
Yeah.
And that's where the show really took on a life of its own for me. That it wasn't just a bunch of different episodes about different horror scenarios. It was like this show became Lovecraft Country for me in episode 5, with the Ruby character specifically. But no, I wasn't ragging on her.
No, you guys were saying some things about that was unkind. So I'm like,
I don't remember.
It was
I
all
have
about
memory.
you guys.
I really
You
don't
guys
remember that. I
were. Of
wouldn't
course,
just-
I remember that shit.
I wouldn't just diss
because
her
I'm
just
like,
because she.
you
what would I make
guys
fun
were
of her
talking
for?
about her. You guys were talking about her looks. So
No, she was.
You guys
I
were-
told you.
you guys-
I think she's beautiful.
well, I mean, you. I know you.
You know what
I'm
I
saying
mean?
you saying
I
that
don't
now,
think
but the
she's
comments being
beautiful.
made that night were.
Okay. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
saying they were horrible.
I did make comments
Extreme
about how
horrible, but
beautiful
you were
she
kind of
was,
like.
but I don't remember.
I think you
making-
did say something about that.
Yeah, I don't remember making any negative comments
You
about
other
it.
guys, you guys were kind of ragging on her a little bit, and I'm like, I think she's gorgeous. I think that woman is so beautiful.
I'm sorry.
I
must have
got a girl
selective memory
crush on that woman.
I'm for real when I say I don't remember
No,
any of that.
I think I
I
kind of
don't-
remember you saying something like
I
that.
don't
You said
remember.
you
I don't
mentioned
remember
that.
saying anything.
You guys,
about
though,
it.
but it's like I'm in a group with a bunch of guys.
No,
I'm like, you're gonna
but
say stuff. You're gonna talk about women in a certain way,
See me.
and ignore that I'm sitting here.
I'll say I say silly things, but it's not intended
it's
to
stuff.
be
You
in
know,
any
it's just
way.
comments you guys just picked up.
If I say something, I meant it. I meant it.
No, I didn't say anything about her.
She is not the type. She is not the type of female I would go after.
Well, I wouldn't say all of that.
Okay.
When you look at her face,
But
it's like,
I
wow,
know,
man, she's-
I was just upset with her, period, because I couldn't. All of those lines, Rosie Perez could have done and been much better.
I thought you said Journey Smollett's character could have been played by Rosie Perez.
Well, she did. She tried to look like her. So.
Well, let's go on.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie Chung was she was the Korean actress in this, and great job.
She was good. She was really
I
good.
really loved her. I loved her storyline and her interaction with Tick. One thing I wanted to talk about and that episode, and Tick's in the army. He's in war in Korea, and he's a completely different person. You know, he's somebody. It's like, because you've already, you've gotten to like Tick along the way. You know, he was like this nerdy kid growing up. And you see a completely different side to him, and just like what war does to, like nice kids. I mean, but you're in war. You're going to have to do some kind of brutal stuff. And it changes you. And what I wanted to bring up, I realized what I tied it into is like what Tick had to do at the end, some of the things he had to perform in the last episode. I don't think he would have been able to unless he went through that wartime experience. Mm-hmm. He had to do some nasty shit. That was like, what do you mean I gotta to make the spell work? But he was able to do it. I'm like, he just shut off and went to war mode Tick and was able to do that. So I thought that was like a nice kind of tie-in, very subtle. And then he's like, you know what? He couldn't have done that.
I really like.
But you know what? I do have to say. And if you're listening, I'm saying this. You know what? Towards the end, for me, Ruby, she wasn't in it enough.
Yeah. Well, I'm disappointed with how her character, what happened to her character.
Yeah, and Ruby, I was kind of ticked.
Especially,
Because I didn't really care for Ruby at 1st because of the way she treated
I
her
was
sister.
on board with Ruby in the beginning, man.
Yeah, but she treated her that way for
No,
a
that's
reason.
right. Her
Yeah.
sister was a fuck up. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing
Excuse
is,
the language.
there's one thing. There's definitely one reason I didn't like Ruby. I knew Ruby that if she was in real life, she would read me up and down.
She would.
I come knock on the door, and just right at the door,
She'd look you up and down.
I'll put it out. And I was like, well,
I never thought about that, Peter. You might be
I
right.
love that character, man.
oh yeah, she would say,
It's
really?
It's beautiful.
I never had any daughters. I had 2 sons and just loved both of them to death. But I always knew if I had a daughter and a guy came over and said, "Hey, Mr. Collins," I'd tell him, "Yeah." And if I came knocking on the door and I said, "Oh, hello, Miss Ruby," yeah, no. See, she
would
would.
have. Yeah. She'd have read you your rights there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But let's talk about Jonathan Majors and stuff.
Yeah,
He
I was going to say he really impressed me. I had seen him in a few movies, a few like small time films before. I saw him in this film called Captive State, which I'm pretty sure most people have never even heard of.
I haven't.
But he was good in it, even though the movie was almost incomprehensible. He still was good, and I noticed that about him. But he was really good in this series. He carries the series well. He's a great leading
those emotional moments.
character.
And kind of discovering things about his dad.
Yeah, I would
just
say
like
like
his reactions
we'll
to
be
him.
seeing more of him, but that's for sure. I mean, he definitely is going to be a big name in the future.
I remember because we had just watched the Five Bloods a few months ago, and he's a prominent role in that. And another movie with father issues.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about
he's
that.
the role for father issues. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him more stuff and seeing him shirtless. So. Because
I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. That was
you
that
guys,
was Laurie,
but
yeah.
I was. He didn't have any problems with body fat there.
No.
And Jonathan Majors shirtless anytime.
I really
anytime.
like
But you see,
Misha
now-
Green knew
now-
what she was doing there.
yeah.
Now you didn't know. I guess you didn't know. I didn't care for him too much either.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Ah.
What did you not like? That's interesting because we don't always want to just have a one-sided
it's like
discussion.
have you seen that movie Galaxy Quest?
Not in a long time.
No.
Yeah, it was just like
I don't
that.
think so.
You
Yep.
always find a way to take your shirt
I
off.
didn't see Spaceballs either, so.
Always find a way
he
to
didn't
get
take
that
his
shirt
shirt
off.
off that much. It's just when he did, it was damn noticeable.
Yes, it was disgusting. Disgusting. Just muscles
That
just
dude is-
rippling
muscles just
everywhere,
rippling.
and just the right enough.
Just the right amount of bulk and
darkness
zero body fat.
to make the muscles look bigger than they really are.
That lighting was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think who else do we need to talk about?
Well, let's talk now. Let's get. I mean, also Jada Harris played Diane, the little girl.
Oh wow!
She was
She was
No,
great.
you know what? When you said I was talking about people, I was talking about her
I'm
looking
saying
like
the group-
Little Bow Wow. I wasn't.
No.
Okay.
That wasn't. I'm talking about. You guys weren't talking about her.
Oh.
Although you did mention she looked like Little Bow Wow.
Yeah,
But that
I
wasn't.
thought maybe-
you were
yeah.
just noticing the resemblance. That was.
I wasn't,
No,
like,
we were
making
talking
fun
about
of her.
Ruby. There were some comments being made about Ruby. I'm like, man, I love Ruby. I don't know what you're
Really?
talking
No,
about.
I like Ruby.
I recall. I think you did say something very nice. You said something about her skin was like gorgeous. Yeah.
I
So,
mean, I kept noticing the
so-
whole time. Every time she would appear.
but Aaron and you were saying some other stuff. So, but let's get beyond that. That's.
I'm sorry, I'm getting out of that. That was Peter
So I was
and
like,
Aaron.
oh man, I was
Aaron's
like,
not even
do I say
here,
something?
so-
I'm just gonna watch the show because Ruby's my girl, man. But anyway, let's. Jada Harris
sorry.
as Diana, and oh my gosh, just the episode, that's the Emmett Till episode, she's the focus of that episode. And there's a lot going on in terms of them talking about what happens to young black females, like being forgotten, nobody looking out for them, and that whole episode represents that. And that's been discussed elsewhere a lot better than I can talk about it.
Right.
But, great performances from her, and, at that ending, she's going to be something else in the future, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So also then Michael K. Williams in this, who plays Tick's dad. He plays Montrose.
Right.
Man.
Right.
What an incredible character and a performance. I mean, for his character arc, what he has to go through, what he has to reveal. I mean, they got the right person. I don't know what other actor in the world can carry.
And now there's one thing that I've learned, because there was people who had done roles, and I absolutely hated them. But I was supposed to hate them. So they played a great role.
Right.
I'm telling you, until Star Wars, I hated Guinness.
Oh, Alec Guinness.
Yeah. Because of Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Okay.
I'm sure I've seen other movies with him in it, and I didn't know it. But I know that British officer, I would strangle him.
I haven't seen.
But I know Obi-Wan
I
Kenobi.
I know it's a classic.
I would jump in front of a laser for him.
Right.
Jump in front of a lightsaber for him.
Yes. So, you know what?
Well, that's just great acting then.
Yeah. So this character,
Michael K. Williams. He kind of does that to you in the course of the whole show. It's like,
I was just like, man, I'll get up and I will rip you. And then other times I'm looking at Tick and I'm like, why so hard on him? And then other times when he's loving him, I'm thinking, what did he love him now? Remember what he did the other day? So if it was a give and flow, it was a great acting job, because I was on a roller coaster with him.
Yeah, I did like the dynamic of Tick and his father, and the fact that
their complicated relationship.
And they explore the complications of why they don't get along, and why there's all these weird expectations in the relationship.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of making you understand these characters and his where he's at emotionally and stuff.
And you know what? One of the other things that it made me understand, dad nor father means he's the one who planted the seed. And they never could answer that question.
Oh, yeah, there's a question of whether Montrose is really Tick's father or if it's Uncle George. And they don't answer that. They don't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, really.
And that's what
the beauty
I thought
of it.
was so powerful. They got to a point and they said, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is what. And at the end, more or less, Tick said, here you go. And he left a note that more or less said that.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, because I heard a couple of interviews or they talked about episode 10, and they delved into how Tick was at the end, how he ended. Well, one thing that they forgot, if you look at it, that wheel that he's put on and the way he's stretched out, of course, we all know that, okay, it's the cross.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
crucifixion
was a normal form of torture even before Christ.
But
it's
no
like a
one
reference to
mentioned
Christ.
this one thing, and I just have to mention. Maybe they just kind of go, but you remember Tick couldn't really lay his head down because there was a hole there.
I can't really remember.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're always looking at props then.
Yeah,
Prop guy over here is always looking at props.
But there was a hole there when you really look at it when he raised him up. You know what that hole represented?
Well,
Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
They had a circle there. Too.
Well,
Yeah.
well, he definitely, I think, kind of represented a messianic type figure. Because someone, like a woman, I remember, like early in the show, they kept telling him, "You're a good man," or something like that. "You're a good man," you know. And I got that sense that he represented this like pure, sort of like heroic character or whatever. You know, at least that's the way they kind of framed it. But that, with your interpretation of the end, that makes even more sense. You know, that they would. I didn't notice that, but that's interesting. I have to go back and check it out. Yeah, I just think like anyone who hasn't seen this show, we don't want to give away too much, but
oh my God, he
this
goes
is
on
a
a father
revelation.
quest, and then oh my God.
I know.
Oh, I'm just.
There's-
It's the whole Joseph Campbell.
right,
Hero's
There's
journey.
so
arc.
much.
Yeah, it's like, but it's done in
this.
a way where it's not so obvious. I've seen some shows like, okay,
Right.
they're doing the by the numbers hero's journey here.
Yeah.
But they do it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the most original show I've seen in like
Because they make you angry, they make you happy, they make you sad. There was 2 or 3 times I just wanted to cry
those are all elements of
because
good storytelling.
I was so sad or so angry. Because even in the Emmett Till thing, when they're in line to go and they started talking, it hit me. Okay, yeah, he's in there, and I know I've seen the picture, and then they said one thing, the smell.
Oh. Yeah.
Because she did not have him embalmed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she did not have him.
Yeah, that's right. She had an open casket funeral, and his face was stomped in.
Yeah, you've seen.
Yeah, and he wasn't embalmed.
Yeah.
So, and this was
I didn't think
I think she really wanted to.
Yeah, it's the hottest hot day in Chicago in summer. You know, which is
so
brutal.
Yeah,
humidity
it's just
and
like
everything.
because in Saving Private
I
Ryan,
didn't realize that.
a lot of the World War II vets that they got to see it, and they said, "What did you think?" They said all the visuals were there, and it made one thing come back that wasn't in the theater: the smell.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said, and when they did this, and they said the smell,
they had people.
I was like,
I don't think she could have it embalmed. I mean, his inner.
Well,
he was fully
brutal.
exposed.
I mean, yeah. One thing that episode in particular, that's what kind of it's one of the things that shook me. Like I've seen the horrific photo of him, in the casket.
Yeah, people can Google it.
It's out there. It's horrible, and what kind of hit home to me, and I've seen it a few times. So like after a while, you kind of build up a little resistance to it. It's not as jarring, but having this show in color and reenacting, reenacting the whole thing.
Because
and they don't
everybody
show
has
him,
it.
but my imagination wants to. Because the picture that show is only in black and white, and I was just like, I am so glad that picture is not in color. Mm-hmm. You're kind of, and there was something I had talked about because it was an article I read maybe a few months ago about how they don't show photos from the civil rights era in color, and how that's a problem because when you see it in black and white, it makes you think of it as being a long, long time ago. When you see those same photos again, it brings you to the present, and you realize, no, that wasn't that long ago. So it's kind of a shady thing that, that to think about that when they show these photos, it's like, oh, that was way back then, or don't think about that as something happening now, and how color brings you to the present. And so seeing this episode, and it's in full color glory, and they thankfully don't go into the funeral, but it's just like, I am so glad. I hope I never see that photograph in color. I couldn't handle it. I could barely handle this episode. I would
well, I know, and this was a personal thing. I know when I was working at a huge company, and I was actually over a lot of white people, and they would question me here and there about different things, but was always, it was a long time ago, and it would not bring anything back home until I looked at them and told them, when I was born, I didn't have the right to vote.
Wow, dude. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they was like, what?
What?
I said, yeah. You know, there had been,
Yeah, you gotta make people realize that. That stuff
things
is recent.
You mean back in the 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
Right.
blacks could vote, but they had different laws to whereas it was specifically pointed to blacks that unless you do X, Y, and Z, you can't vote. And it wasn't until
With the Civil Rights Act
Yeah,
and on
it's
Voting
that-
Rights Act, or
yeah,
back in the mid
that
60s.
I was
1964.
able that I could look forward to voting
Yeah.
because I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So to sit there and look at people and say, when I was born, I couldn't vote. They were just like,
Because you're thinking that
What?
that was a century ago. That was 2 centuries ago, right? Like, no, y'all,
no.
that was my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I would tell them, oh no, how many times you get pulled over since you've gotten your license? Oh, I got my license since 16 and might have been pulled over once. Oh, that's nice. Well, how many times for you? I don't know. I'm definitely past the 20s now.
Oh wow.
Just like, what? Yeah.
It's just the thing of every time you get pulled over, you never know. It's always scary. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know if, like, I have tinted windows on my car. I put all my windows down. I'm like, my back is turned to the police. So you never really know. There's always that fear, like you might get shot for any reason. That's the biggest difference I could think of. Even if other people have been pulled over, they haven't been pulled over with that sense that they might not live through a traffic stop.
Yeah.
And most blacks can relate to that on some
I
level.
have to remind myself because, I've been pulled over 3 times and all legitimately. But, because, I'm a black person, I'm thinking like a black person. After riding stuff, I was like, you know what, they're probably not going to do anything to me.
No,
give me a ticket.
No, in all fairness, in all honesty.
But, I'm like, oh shit,
they're
please.
not pulling you
I'm
over because
kinda
they
like,
think you're black.
No, I know they haven't. They pulled me over with good reason. So they've all been legitimate, and that's why there's only been 3. So,
but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, my mentality is, oh shit, police! I better. Where's my hands? Where's my license? I'm like, I'm thinking that, but not.
I'm saying as
'cause
someone who, like, I don't consider myself, not to make fun of myself, but I'm not the blackest dude I know. It's like, I know that fear. Like, everyone who's
Oh no, yeah,
knows
I'm just
what
used to
that's
the conditioning.
like.
That it's the police. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Even though I was like, wait a minute.
It is
not likely.
It is.
something-
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
not likely
You're
going to
right.
happen to me.
I'm
That's
sure
right.
it does go beyond
Yeah.
color. It's like you never know anymore, like, what's gonna happen, and then
No.
the whole idea of impunity. If the police kill me, there's no
there's no recourse. There's no consequence.
There's no consequence. So yeah. But anyhow, y'all, I don't know. So
Well, you want to
wrap
wrap
it
this
up,
up?
or-
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so. Anything else you guys want to say? I mean, watch the series. It's on HBO Max, all 10 episodes. We got to see if there's going to be a season 2. Do you guys want there to be a season 2?
Oh heck yeah! Well, I'm curious what
you
they'll
think-
do with the season
'cause-
2 because
I don't know.
I don't know which characters will be.
I don't know if they've
will
necessarily. Well, they've kind of completed the art. One of some character arcs that were in the book, I think. Apparently, from what I've read. So, but Misha Green has said she has all kinds of ideas of where to take a lot of the characters and wants to explore that. And so they're negotiating now for season 2.
I look forward to a season 2.
Right. I mean, there's some characters I'm like, okay, that one's one and done. This is fine. Don't screw it up. Because part of me is saying, but at the same time, there's some characters I want to come back to and spend time with. What happens to little George?
Yeah.
What happens to Dee with her robotic arm? You got to watch the show, y'all.
I want to see more of what happens in
what
this
happens to
world.
Hippolyta, what happens
Yeah.
to
Because
Letty,
it does
Yeah.
feel like, even though we've gone through 10 episodes, I feel like
what happens to Montrose.
I still want to see a lot more. Like
Yeah,
this
I wanna-
isn't it.
yeah.
This is only a glimpse of this world.
I mean,
I want to see more
yeah,
of it.
you can see there's hinted at adventures for these characters go on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like what happens to them because there's, like I said, there was time travel, so there's some time travel mentioned going into the future and some things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally would like to see this go on. So that's it. Lovecraft Country, HBO. Check it out. Leave some, words in the comments. What do you think of the show? And we out.
We out.
I thought we were gonna clap.
We could.
Go.
That's gonna be spooky. 1, 2, 3.
Out.
Oh man. No, that